At my sister's rehearsal dinner, my mom refused to serve me. I only ordered for family. Minutes later, the wedding planner told me my invitation was canceled, but my $50,000 deposit wasn't. When I returned to the table, I said something that stopped the entire room. You know, there are moments in life that just shatter you. Moments that redraw every line you thought was solid. For me, it was watching my own mother, at my sister's rehearsal dinner, casually tell a server to skip me, because, apparently, I wasn't family. Can you even imagine? My name's Evan, I'm 32. I've always been the oldest, the emergency contact, the one who shows up with a toolbox and a receipt. I manage repairs for a city transit yard, dealing with buses that sound like they're dying in winter, radios that only work if you punch them, and punch clocks that despise Mondays. At night, I fix laptops on my kitchen table, meticulously labeling every leftover screw and baby food jar. I like order. I rent this small, narrow apartment above a sewing shop that constantly smells of starch and old gossip. If you open my freezer, you'll find ice, dumplings, and a neatly folded envelope labeled taxes. Surprises? I only like them if they're on a paycheck. My sister is Summer, 27. She's been the favorite since kindergarten, most enthusiastic. She makes mood boards for a living, or at least that's what she says. Mom calls her our bright spot, like the rest of us are just storm clouds. If I ever asked about money, Mom would say, "Don't be small." But if Summer said, "I have a vision," Mom would clap like there was a studio audience watching. Our house never had a budget, but we talked a lot about vibes. Summer got engaged to Theo back in April. He's all soft sweaters, big watches, and somehow never carries a wallet. He's always posting about the grind from brunch. He calls bartenders boss and my mother queen. The rehearsal dinner was at one of those restaurants, you know the kind, Edison bulbs, succulents everywhere. The private room looked far better in photos than in real life. I wore the only blazer I own, the one that makes me look like I actually pay my bills early. The table was this long, white runway, place cards in gold ink. Everyone already had a drink in hand. I set my card, a handwritten note, a small, sensible check, on the gift table, then took the last chair at the very end. As the salad started to arrive, the server moved in a smooth loop, then, he just skipped me. Plate for Cousin Dean, plate for Aunt Liv. An empty space in front of me. The server glanced nervously at his tablet. "Hey," I said, my voice soft, almost a whisper. "I think you missed one." He winced. "I have instructions," he whispered back, looking like he wished he could teleport anywhere else, to serve family only. Before I could even process that, Mom leaned around a vase of hydrangeas, a smile plastered on her face like a cat in a window. "Evan, darling, I only ordered for family," she said, stabbing at an arugula leaf. The entire table did that weird little laugh people do when they think something's a joke and desperately hope it is. Summer adjusted a napkin like it needed emergency surgery. Theo, across the candles, lifted his glass. "Don't be sensitive, big man," he chirped, "tonight's about love." I just stared at that empty space where my plate should have been. "Am I family or not?" I asked. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. That sentence just sat there on the table, heavy as a coin. Asterisk, don't do this. Not here, asterisk. Mom muttered something, still chewing. My chair made a small scrape when I stood. I pushed it back in because even when I'm furious, I don't leave messes. The hallway outside smelled of lemons and dish soap. A framed black and white photo stared back at me, decent tie, tired eyes, a man who can always find the loose bolt in any machine. My phone buzzed. 2 reminders I'd set that morning: venue confirmed tomorrow's balance and lighting vendor security deposit pickup. Below them, an email from the planner, RSVP revision. I didn't tap it. Behind the door, Theo's laugh popped like a balloon. "He'll be fine," he said to someone. Evan's always intense. I stared at my screen until the words unfogged. Then I tapped the planner's number. He picked up on the second ring, his cheerful but tired planner voice. "Hey Evan, we good for the walkthrough tomorrow?" "I'm at the rehearsal dinner," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I have a weird question." "Shoot." Can the family coordinator remove someone from the headcount without the contracting party's consent? There was a pause. I could almost hear him sit down. They did it, didn't they? He asked. Who's the contracting party on the venue, Evan? I asked you, I replied. You signed the hall and the lighting package through your company account, he explained. That's why the rate was so good. I closed my eyes. So if they cancel my invitation? Their coordinator asked us to remove you from the ceremony and dinner count, he said, his voice careful. But the deposit is yours. That $50,000 is locked to the date. It doesn't come back unless the hall rebooks the exact same night at full price. He exhaled. I'm sorry. Are any charges pending against my card besides what I already approved? No, he said. And per your authorization, only you can add anything. They can't even if they ask nicely? Good, I said. I leaned my forehead against the cool wall, taking one long, shaky breath. Okay, thanks. You want me to bridge a conversation? He asked gently. I can claim a vendor emergency. No, I said. I'm going to do something else. When I walked back in, the room was mid-toast. People were smiling at words that sounded nice. My place was still empty. I slid into my chair, letting my hands go flat on the table. Everything okay? Summer asked, her eyes fixed on her fork. Yeah, I said. I just needed to remember how to breathe. It didn't start with a plate, you know. It started with a power bill. I was 19 when Mom said, "Put the electric in your name, Evan. Just for now. The system likes you. You pay on time." For now, in our house, was a bridge that never landed. 3 years later, when I tried to switch it back, she cried into a dish towel and said, "You don't abandon family." That was the script. Summer learned the second line, "You're so rigid." At 21, Summer tried college for 2 semesters, then content creation, then MLM-scented marketing, then I'm building a brand. She's incredibly good at looking like she's working when she's really asking for money. A typical text, Summer card got weird. Can you book my flight? I'll Venmo Friday. Mom would chime in, she's stressed, Evan. Be a gentleman. Me, how much? Summer, not a lot. $347.16. Me, that's a lot. Summer, promise I'll pay you back. Me, okay. I'd add it to my notes app, $347.16. Friday. I kept a spreadsheet called Family Tab. It started as therapy, just so I wouldn't yell. It became self-defense. Line after line, Summer phone $69. Mom water $31. Summer copay $220. Mom breaks $380. Summer rent gap $650. In the notes column, I was brutally honest with myself, Friday equals never. No repeat. Get receipt. The total wasn't the problem. The assumption was. When Summer met Theo, the asks just got dressed up as opportunities. He pitched everything like a TED Talk to someone who couldn't afford a TED ticket. We can scale if we consolidate, he told me, hands steepled over a spreadsheet he'd printed in 12-point calibri, as if that made it real. It's silly for you to pay rent when you could invest. You could get points for the wedding and write it off through your LLC. My LLC is for fixing city radios, Theo, I told him. He just smiled, like that was cute. What if the family LLC was our umbrella? My mother ate those sentences like candy. He's so smart, she told me later. Why can't you be more flexible, Evan? Money comes and goes. Money in our house came from me and went to them. The wedding planning started with an email thread, Team Summer plus Theo plus Dante Planner. Dante was a pro. Cheerful subject lines, terrifying spreadsheets with tabs for venue, catering, florals, lighting, experience, and underwriters. That last one was there because the hall required a guarantor. I have good credit because I learned to be allergic to late fees. Guess who everyone looked at? The venue holds with 40%, Dante said on the first call. $50,000. Refund only if a miracle replacement happens. The guarantor approves all vendor charges. No one else can add costs. That's how your rate stays. Who's the guarantor? I asked. You, if you sign, he said. Pause. Summer chimed in, you're the point person, Evan. I said no. Then I said yes, but only to the hall and lighting. I can't stand chaos, and I thought being the gate would keep the flood out. I used my repair company account as the guarantor because the hall required a business profile. I even asked Dante to write into the contract that nothing else could be added without my written approval. He did. I paid the $50,000 as a gift. I told myself I was investing in peace. Then came the add-ons. A champagne wall, we're known for champagne. No, they are not. A flower tunnel, once-in-a-lifetime vibe. Cold spark fountains, safety approved. A live painter, investment piece. A grazing table, no one forgets charcuterie. A late-night taco bar, non-negotiable. Each came with urgency, they can hold it if we pay by today. I said no to most. What did we agree on? Don't be cheap, Mom texted. Bro, it's pennies, Theo said about a 5-figure item. It's not pennies, I said. It's a used car. We had planning nights at Mom's, with Dante dialed in, muted, always useful. Summer wrote vibe on a whiteboard like she wanted it to learn fear. No drama, she'd declare. No negativity. She'd point her marker gently at me. No tense faces in candids. Mom would add, we want to look like a perfect family in the photos. It just sat there. It grew mold. A week before the rehearsal, a small change email slid in, RSVP revision. I skimmed it at a stoplight and almost rear-ended a delivery truck. Remove Evan Hart. Note, per family coordinator, he will not be attending the ceremony or dinner. Keep him CCD for vendor. I pulled into a lot, breathed into my jacket, and called Dante. I didn't cancel me, I said. I know, he replied, and you could hear the part of his job that was marriage counseling for people who think money is a personality. Does the $50,000 stay? It stays, he confirmed. You can't pull it unless another couple gives the hall your exact money for your exact day. And they have no reason to. It's a good date, but they're not magicians. Can I block everything else? Yes, he said. You already wrote the contract, right? They can't add anything. The only lever left is your consent. I drafted an email to freeze all authorizations and didn't send it. I wanted to see if my mother had the stomach to sit across from me and say family only to my face. She did. Summer watched it land and pretended she couldn't read. Theo lifted a glass and made a word salad. I stepped into that lemon hallway and called Dante. He confirmed what I already knew. When I went back in, I had decided something I never decide. I was going to stop managing their feelings and start managing mine. The small truth first, then the big one. Nobody likes a mic speech from the guy at the end of the table. I wasn't going to give one. I stayed standing behind my chair until a toast ended. Then I picked up my water and spoke to the table like I was telling a driver their brake lights were out. 2 things. Not now, Evan, Mom said automatically. Thing 1, I said, looking directly at the empty space in front of me. Am I family or not? Candles crackled. Forks paused. You could almost hear the Edison bulbs hum louder. Thing 2, I continued, taking the envelope from my inside pocket. I didn't raise it like evidence. I placed it on the tablecloth between me and my mother. This is a choice. I'd printed it so no one could pretend they misheard me. Theo's grin shifted into the tight one he uses when a check bounces in his head. Bro. I slid out 2 sheets, labeled Option A and Option B in thick black letters, because I work around people who need labels to avoid mixing parts. Option A, I said, facing Summer, Because I did not come here to wrestle a man who calls me bro. My voice was low, steady. You keep everything exactly as planned. The hall, the date, the lighting, my $50,000 stays as a one-time gift. In exchange, we're done after the wedding. No more asks. No emergency contact. No using my name for anything. No quick favors that cost rent. I'll step back. I won't ruin your day. I won't attend. The story you tell strangers doesn't include me, and neither does your budget. I'll formalize the boundary in writing so no one has to guess. Mom's inhale was a hiss. Option B, I continued, not looking at her, I transfer the contract to you two by morning. The hall needs a new guarantor and a new card for the balance. You sign a repayment plan to reimburse me the $50,000 over 24 months. No interest. No drama. In exchange, I show up as your actual brother at your actual wedding. Eat a plate of food. Stand where you put me. And we try to be a real family, with receipts, instead of a photo that lies. Theo laughed, but there was no joy in it. You think you're a bank? I think I'm done being one, I said. Summer reached for the paper like it was hot. This is cruel. No, I said. This is clear. Mom found the tone she uses when she wants a fight to look like an intervention. You won't force us to choose a dinner, she snapped. You forced a choice at dinner when you told the server I wasn't family, I said, finally turning to her. I'm giving you a grown-up way to match the grown-up decision you already made. Dante materialized near the host stand. Like people who manage fires for a living, he kept his distance, his phone in his hand. He wasn't my ally, and he wasn't their enemy. He was a clipboard with a pulse. Theo reached for option A, a smirk already forming. We'll take the gift and the silence, he said, like he'd won a game. Summer's hand landed on top of his. Wait. He snorted. Babe. She didn't look at him. She looked at me, the way she used to when she was 6 and I taught her to tie her shoes. What does done mean? She asked, her voice thin. It means Mom texts me sunsets, but not bills, I explained. It means if you need money, you ask someone else. It means if I have news, I don't run it by a committee. It means my life doesn't get voted on. She blinked hard. Mascara does not forgive truth. Theo tried a new angle. You're making it about cash, he accused. This is about love. It's about a plate, I said, quietly. Aunt Liv, who doesn't particularly like me but does like fairness, said into her napkin, let them pick, Mara. Mom's jaw worked like she was chewing a stone. Option A, she said finally, her voice flat. The deposit stays. He can leave. There it was. The sentence I'd been walking toward since I was 19. Summer's mouth trembled. She looked back down at the paper. Can I think until morning? She asked. About B? Yes, I said. The hall needs a name by 10 a.m. Theo scoffed. We're not signing anything with you. Then A is easy, I said, and put a pen next to the paper. Initial here. Dante will receive the boundary letter tonight. The hall will get the form tomorrow, removing my name from everything after the event. You'll never have to ask me for anything again, because you won't be able to. Theo opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked at his dad, who had money posture, not hustle posture. The older man shook his head, a small, tired gesture. Summer took the pen. Her hand hovered. Evan, she said, her voice barely a whisper, are you going to hate me? I already tried hating you, I said. It didn't work. This does. She signed option A. Mom exhaled like a bellows. Theo grinned like he'd just flagged a cab. Congratulations, I said, and meant the word like a closing bracket. I put option B back in the envelope. I took my card off the gift table, leaving my note inside. I hope your day is what you keep saying it will be. E. Say hi to your spreadsheets. Theo called after me. People laughed, because that's what people do when they're afraid of picking a side. I walked out. No slam. The hallway was lemons again. Dante caught my eye and gave me the smallest nod a person can give and still call it a nod. My phone buzzed. Dante received signed A. I texted a photo of Summer's initials. Dante, copy. I'll mark your access at 12:01 a.m. after event. I turned my phone to airplane mode. My hand stopped shaking in the elevator. Morning made everything sharp. That's what sleep does when you actually do it. Texts arrived before coffee. Mom, 7:02, you humiliated us. Mom, 7:04, you owe your sister an apology. Mom, 7:05, you should be ashamed. Mom, 7:12, I can't believe you made me choose. Me, 9:15, money/asks an email only. I will not respond to texts about logistics. Boundaries attached. I attached a PDF I'd spent an hour writing at my kitchen table the night before. Boundary letter, Evan Hart. It had bullet points like a boring class that keeps you alive. I am not a guarantor for family purchases. I do not add my name to bills, rentals, tickets, or emergency forms. I do not lend. If I gift, I write gift. If I decline, I write no. I do not accept last-minute crises that are choices. Communication about money happens by email. I will not attend meetings where I am insulted. If family excludes me socially, it excludes me financially. It felt ridiculous to print my own rules. It also felt like putting a guardrail between me and a ditch. Dante replied to a different thread, Paul acknowledges your permissions and 12:01 a.m. the day after tonight. You still technically own the contract, but you've authorized no charges. They can't add. It's a weird limbo. Me, thanks for staying human about this. Dante, it's my whole job. At lunch, Julio at the transit yard asked, you good? The way men ask when they're offering you a bolt, not a hug. Better, I said, and meant it. I spent the afternoon switching my autopays off the joint-sounding accounts Mom once talked me into just to simplify. I called the electric company and finally moved the service out of my name. 20 minutes on hold. One sentence to a board rep, I'm not the occupant. A click I felt behind my eyes. I closed a credit card I'd let Mom use for points and hadn't noticed was still on her apps. I changed my bank passphrase to obscure bus parts no one else knows. I froze my credit because saying no out loud makes some people creative. By 4 p.m., the group chat my family uses for gossip and conspiracy memes renamed itself Blessed and kicked me out. A cousin forwarded screenshots with a single text, for the record, I get it. I didn't respond, because I don't need allies who whisper. The wedding day came. I did laundry. I fixed a friend's laptop and charged him full price for the first time. I walked down to the river that smells like pennies when it's hot and steel when it's cold. At 2 p.m., Dante texted, they scaled florals by half. Band cut second break to save cost. They're telling people you had to work. Me, let them. Dante, you want pictures? Me, no. At 5 p.m., Mom sent a sunrise photo with the caption, God provides, and no apology. I hearted it and didn't type words. At 11:40 p.m., Summer sent one message, we did it. Then another, I'm scared you won't be in my life. Me, 7:12 a.m., I'll be in my life. You're invited when you can be kind without borrowing. 12:01 came. Dante sent one last message, your permissions expired. The hall is theirs now. Be well, Evan. Me, you, too. A week later, an envelope arrived with no return address. Inside, a check for $120 and a sticky note, for that time with the flight. I said Friday. I looked at it for a long minute. Then I deposited it and kept the note, not because of the money, but because of the sentence where she finally said which Friday she meant. People expected me to blow up or to cave. I didn't do either. I went back to the transit yard. I taught Nico how to crimp a connector without stripping the wire. He said, why didn't anyone show me that? I said, because they wanted you to think it was magic. Theo texted twice, "Man to man, we should talk, and you made me look bad." I didn't respond, because everything he writes is bait with punctuation. Mom tried a new angle. She showed up at my building and buzzed all the apartments because she knows mine is broken. I texted, "Email." She wrote, "Stop being corporate." I wrote, "Boundary letter applies in person, too." She left a paper bag with oranges and a note, "Don't let them make you bitter." I ate the oranges and threw away the note. I can separate fruit from message. The quiet didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like a room I finally rented for myself. It's been 9 weeks now. The wedding album went up. People in soft light, hands touching hands. The expensive photographer catching the exact moment a laugh looks like grace. My seat isn't in any photo, because it wasn't a seat. That's fine. Most of my life doesn't photograph. Summer and I text about weather and the coffee she's trying to make at home. She sent a picture of a plant she was killing and asked, "How do I not?" Me, water. Drainage. Leave it alone more than you want to. Her, rude. Me, true. 3 days later, she sent the plant again, perked. No request for money. That felt like actual growth, not the mood board kind. Sunsets and verses. Sometimes she starts typing, "You know your sister?" And I reply, "Email," and it fades. We see each other at Aunt Liv's for Sunday spaghetti sometimes. We talk about birds and recipes. When she brings up that night, I talk to the dog. Dante sends a quarterly newsletter about venue trends, because I asked, out of curiosity, not craving. He added a one-line note last time, "You did the clean hard. Good job." I don't need applause. Sometimes, though, I just need one sentence from someone who watched. I kept the boundary letter and taped a shorter version inside my kitchen cabinet where the coffee lives. I read it while the kettle complains. Asterisk, I don't attach my name to other people's bills. If I give, it's a gift. If I don't, it's a no. Money and plans live in writing. I leave rooms that insult me. If the invite is revoked, the wallet is too *. It felt silly the first week. Now, it feels like an instruction manual I wrote for myself. People wanted a dramatic twist where I stormed back in and flipped a table, or a movie ending where Summer sobbed an apology and we hugged into the credits. What happened is smaller, and more useful. I paid what I chose, refused what I didn't, wrote it down, and left the scene like you leave a shop when they put a sign in the window that says, "Members only." If you need a moral, here's the dull one that works: don't sponsor the room that bars your chair. Don't let family be a coupon code for your legal name. Love loud if you can afford it. Say no quietly when you can't. Write your rules in ink. Put them where you make coffee. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I still live over the sewing shop. The machines hum. I still fix radios that will die again in a month and laptops with crumbs inside like confetti. Last weekend, I bought a second-hand bike with cash from a jar and rode it until my legs shook. It felt like being 11 and saving coins. Except this time, no one called me petty when I asked to keep what I saved. When my phone buzzes at a time that used to make my stomach drop, I check the sender, breathe once, and decide. If it's work, I answer. If it's family, my cabinet decides. I am not a guarantor or a ghost. I'm a man who chooses what he funds, with money, with time, with silence.